All right. So we are in the end of Hagilgulim-10. It's our shiur number 10. It's been a couple of weeks since we've given a Sha'ar Hagilgulim shiur. And today, so basically when we left off, we're in the end of Hagilgulim-10, Dibur matchil v'daki lif'amim. So basically when we left off, we said that it's possible for a person to change his shorish neshama. When? Not in his nefesh. In his nefesh, he always stays with his nefesh. With the ruach, neshama, chaya yichida, if he's okay, he could change it. How does he change it? If he's, let's say he comes from the sfira of Yesod. So if he's mitaken, the Yesod of Yetzirah, where his neshama comes from, now he could either jump to Yesod of Bria and get his neshama, or he could jump inside Yetzirah itself and go to the next sfira. So what's on top of Yesod? What's the next sfira higher than Yesod? Hod. Hod. So if he wants, he can go up to Hod, and then his neshama will change, and he won't be anymore Yesod the Yetzirah. He's gonna be Hod the Yetzirah. What happens to his Yesod the Yetzirah that he already fixed? It's still his, but it's already tafel. How do you say tafel? It's secondary. It's not the primary neshama in him anymore. And then when he's gonna go up to Bria, he could already get Hod the Bria. Right? And so on and so forth. And we said, how is that possible? It's like a Tosefet Neshama. When you get a Tosefet Neshama in Shabbat, that Tosefet Neshama, if you're lucky, you could keep him during the week. How do you keep him, by the way? There's two ways. Number one, when you do Shir Shalom, Hayom Yom Shabbat Kodesh, Hashir Shayu Alevi Omrim Baduchan. The Kavanah over there is to keep the Neshama of the Tosefet.
We don't do it here.
Where?
Hayom Shir Shabbat Kodesh?
Well, we don't have a... On Shabbat, we don't do it.
We don't do it, but that's what you say means more Shir Yom
Shabbat.
Yeah.
No, but I'm saying on Shabbat, you already get the neshama. On Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, you have to keep it. You understand? Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, you could already get another one.
Okay.
And a person, all of his life, he could keep on going higher and higher and higher. Right? But there's another way to get it. That's by doing Chok L'Yisrael. If a person does Chok L'Yisrael every single day, like I always push for it in my shiurim, if a person does Chok L'Yisrael every day, by learning the Chumash, Nevi'im, Ketuvim, he could keep all those Tosefet Neshamas that he has. Like, he can also lose them, like Ka'as, or any other bad midah, or any Averot. Like we learned, the Ibur Neshama, when the Tzaddik comes to you, if he wants, he could leave whenever he wants. If he finds that there is no point for him to stay inside of you, unless it's a Gilgul HaDomeh LeIbur. What's a Gilgul HaDomeh LeIbur? We learned about it. Very good. He's stuck in you, but he doesn't get your Averot.
But he has an impact on you.
He has an impact on you, but he's stuck in you. But it's not a Gilgul, it's an Ibur, but it's like a Gilgul.
Right,
because he's stuck in you.
Has Ashpa on you.
Right, has Ashpa on you.
He's a bad person, all of a sudden.
No, they always have Hashpas on the person.
No, but the other Ibur of a Tzaddik, if it has Ashpa, then you go to Hashpa.
A regular Ibur, it comes and it goes whenever he wants.
He cannot leave.
So there's something called the Ibur HaDomeh LeGilgul. Once it comes in, it can't leave.
And only like Rabbi Tzai can take it out. Right?
No, those I'm talking about good ones.
No.
I'm talking about good ones, not bad ones.
Can they help the person?
They help the person. They're there to help you.
Right. But they don't get Avirot.
They don't get that. So for example, we're going to learn, so Hashem, we're going to get over there, that there was, remember Rabban Yochanan ben Zakkai had 5 students? They were the greatest students in the time of the Tanaim, right? Rabbi Eliezer Hagadol, Rabbi Yoshua, Rabbi Nathanael, Rabbi Shimon ben Nathanael, Rabbi Yosei, Rabbi Elazar. 5 big students he had, right? So the Gemara says, who is the greatest out of all of them? So Rabbi Eliezer Hagadol. If you would have put all of the rabbis in that generation in one, in the, how you call that, the Moznaim, and the scale, and Rabbi Eliezer Hagadol in the other one, he would outweigh everybody, right? But then Rabbi Shaul said, if you would have put Rabbi Eliezer with all of them, and Rabbi Elazar ben Arach on the other one, he would outweigh everyone. That means Rabbi Elazar ben Arach was a great neshama.
Before?
No, he was one of the 5 students. He was greater than Rabbi Eliezer Hagadol, according to Abba Shaul. So it says in the Sha'ar Hagilgulim that Rabbi Elazar ben Arach, in the Gemara it says at the end of his life he kind of went off the derech. How did he kind of go? You never find, but there's no halachot in his name in the whole Gemara. I mean, he's one of the greatest Tanaim. He's not even one. There's no halachot from him.
Because he went off.
What happened was that his wife said to him, "Why do you want to stay in the city? Let's go to 5 towns. Let's go to
Miami.
Miami. Nice weather. Nice hot spring. Let's go. They need you. You don't need them. And a couple of years later, he comes back to the yeshiva. He doesn't even remember how to read the Torah. So the Ari explains what happened to him. What happened to him was his neshama was really big, but he was only a ruach. He wasn't born with a nefesh. His nefesh was already fixed in the previous reincarnations. So when he was born, he was only born with a ruach. Now, a person who's born with a ruach, he's already starting off in the best possible mode. But what's the negative in getting just a ruach? He cannot come alone. The ruach, he needs a moshav. He needs a base.
Mm-hmm.
So what's his base gonna be? His nefesh is already fixed. Nefesh hager. That nefesh hager inside of him messed him up. But he went after atzat ishto, and he lost his Torah.
But you said he brought everything back, no?
Then they prayed for him and they brought everything back. But still, we don't find a Gemara, any halachot in his. Rabbi Eliezer, on the other hand, there isn't a page in the Mishnayot. Everything Amar Rabbi Eliezer, Amar Rabbi Eliezer, Amar Rabbi Eliezer, Amar Rabbi Eliezer. Now, Rabbi Chaim Vital, when he was with the Ari was revealing to him, inside of you, you're Zochet to Ibur Neshamot Tzadikim. So he tells him, inside of you, you have Rabbi Elazar ben Arach. But he says, even though he's inside of you, you're going to get a bigger neshama soon, Rabbi Akiva's.
Oh.
Rabbi Akiva in real life was the student of Rabbi Elazar ben Arach.
Okay.
You understand? That means Rabbi Elazar ben Arach's friend, Rabbi Eliezer, his student was Rabbi Akiva. How was Rabbi Akiva higher level than Rabbi Elazar ben Arach? Even though you have a high neshama, if you don't fulfill your potential, it doesn't consider that you fulfilled your obligation. So therefore, you're not considered high up there with the neshamot, the great neshamot. You understand? So therefore, there's a distinction. You understand? So for example, a person could be zochet to a neshama like Rabbi Elazar ben Arach, but it also comes with nefesh hager. You understand? So therefore, it's a low level ibur.
So every year.
Yiratzon should be zochet to even that. You understand? The biggest zechut is when a person is zochet to a neshama from his own shorish, a tzaddik from his own shorish. Why? When you get a tzaddik from your own shorish inside of you, he doesn't want to leave. He wants to stay with you. Even if you do averot, he doesn't get the averot, but he doesn't want to be in there once you go do the averot. Right. But he'll stay inside of you. Why? Because you being fixed fixes himself too. So for example, I was reading a Hagilgulim Gemara, a Pirush on the Gemara. It says over there, you know the famous Gemara with Rabbi Pedat. It was a rabbi called Rabbi Pedat. This Rabbi Pedat, he once had a student 400 times, he had to teach him the same Gemara.
Yeah.
The same Mishnah, he had to teach him 400 times. One time taught him 400 times, he said, did you get it? So he told him, actually this time I didn't get it because I knew you had to leave early today, so I wasn't concentrated from the beginning and I was too ashamed to tell you, make you stop in the beginning. So he taught him another 400, 800 times altogether he taught him. So from Shamayim, it was such an act of selflessness. So they asked him, pick whatever you want, to live for 400 years, or all of your generation is gonna have Olam Haba.
Everyone living at that time.
Yeah, everyone living seemingly al panav. If you learn the Gemara, that's what it's like. Everybody in that generation will.
Unbelievable.
So he picks the one with everybody's gonna have Olam Haba. So and then they also gave him 400 years.
He lived for 400 years.
400 years. So I think I saw this in the name of, who did I see this in the name of? Maybe the Ben Ish Chai. I'm not sure. Don't quote me. But I saw it recently.
So even Rishayim in his time.
So the Mefaresh says, I think it's the Ben Ish Chai says, but I'm not sure. He asked the question. He says, doesn't make sense. What? All the
he did whatever he wanted to.
Yoshka people in his time.
Oh,
the Jews there were early church fathers were Jews. But those minim, Palshinim, and Zaydim, they can have Olam Haba. So the rabbi says, the Mefaresh says, that's not what they really meant. The whole generation is going to have Olam Haba. They just promised him that in your Shorish Neshama, there won't be one soul that will never fix itself. Your whole Shorish Neshama, because of you, will have a zechut to always be fixed. That means when they're going to be born, they're going to fix they're going to reach their goals. That's what it means. The whole generation is going to have
your generation.
Your generation will have. What does it mean? Your generation. All of your neshamot that come from your shorish, they will all reach
Are you sure she
They got insurance.
they got insurance.
How many Shorashim?
That's a crazy pshat. That's an amazing pshat.
How many Shorashim are there?
So we're going to learn Hagdama Yud Aleph. There are 613 main Shorashim, and each one could be broken up into 600,000 Shorashim.
So at the end of the day, how many Shorashim do we really
613 times 600,000.
You're talking about millions.
Yeah, more than millions.
Billions?
No, I wouldn't say billion, a lot. That's
360 million.
just 360 million,
Yeah.
give or take.
Give or take.
So it's a lot of Shorashim. Now, some Shorashim aren't broken up into. Now, in each Shorash, there is Talmidei Chachamim, there is Amei Haaretzim.
The easy question to that, we haven't had 360 million Jews throughout.
So not every Shorash has to be broken up into 600,000.
Uh-huh.
We're going to learn in 11th Hagdama, it depends how involved it was in Chet Etz Hadat. The more involved it was in Etz Hadat, the more it has to split up. Why does Hashem split up a Shorash? Because it needs to be split up to fix. It's easier to fix. When there's more people, it's easier to fix.
Divide and conquer.
Exactly. The Shorashim that weren't so into the Etz Hadat, one couple of Nishamot, and that's it, they're done. Cain and Hevel, for example, are split up into, for sure, 600,000. Why? Because not only did they have the Chet of Etz Hadat, they also had the Chet of Hevel Hetzitz B'Shechina and Cain killed. So that's another split that they needed to split. And most Nishamot are Cain and Hevel, most Nishamot, which in Adam HaRishon's body was the two shoulder blades, including the, I think it's called, what is this called over here? The big bone over here. There's a big bone over here. No, there's a big bone. It's connected to the shoulder bone. It's the whole. It's like where the animals, when the bird's wings come out of.
Okay.
From there. So those are two big bones over there. That's Shoresh Cain and Hevel with the shoulder itself. That's Cain and Hevel, and most Nishamot come from them. Most Tzadikim come from them. They're the fixers of Cain and Hevel. All right. Let's look inside. Let's continue. Veda, sometimes no. כי לפעמים אפשר שתתעלה נפש אדם עד שתהיה נפשו בעולם האצילות. Sometimes a person's nefesh, he could raise it up so high until it goes up to the world of Atzilut. His nefesh itself will be from עולם האצילות. והוא, how? כי הנה כלל הדבר הוא כי הנפש מן העשייה ברוח מן יצירה. But we already learned that a nefesh is from עשייה and a ruach is from יצירה and neshama is from בריאה. אמנם בדרך פרט, but specifically, in the details, בכל עולם מאלו יש בו בחינת נרן. In Atzilut has its own nefesh ruach neshama. In Yetzirah has its own nefesh ruach. In Beriah, in Asiya has its own nefesh ruach neshama. ונמצא כי לפעמים יהיה באדם נרן מעשייה יצירה בריאה. Sometimes a person will have nefesh ruach neshama from Asiya, Yetzirah, and Beriah. That's a normal case. לפעמים יהיה לו נרן ממלכות. Umiza umi'ima da'asiya. Sometimes a person will have nefesh ruach and neshama from the malchut. He'll have his nefesh from the malchut of asiya. He'll have his ruach from the vak of asiya. What's the vak? From chesed until yesod. And his neshama will come from bina of asiya. That means all of his neran come from where? Asiya. That means you could have a person, seemingly from what the Ari is saying over here, a person could be all of the parts of his soul from Asiya. He'll have nothing from Atzilut. He'll have nothing from Bria. He'll have nothing from... All of his parts are from Asiya itself.
Okay.
It's a very low level.
Can he
change?
Up? No.
We learned that everybody could change.
Right,
But the problem is he's all from Asiya. How is he going to level up if he never reached Yitzirah? Kind of a contradiction, right? Because we've been learning all this time, Gabriel, that a person has to have a part from Yitzirah. A person has to have a part from Bria. Seemingly, the Ari right now is contradicting himself. לפעמים יהיה לו נרן ממלכות ומיזה, okay? לפעמים שלושתם מיזה. Sometimes all parts of a person's nefesh ruach neshama come from Yitzirah. לפעמים שלושתם מעולם הבריאה. Sometimes all parts of a person's nefesh ruach and neshama will come from בריאה. לפעמים כולם מן האצילות. A person could be born straight from אצילות. Nefesh minokdeza, his nefesh from the nukva, from the malchut of za, ruach from za, neshama from ima, and chaya me'aba. ולפעמים nefesh me'asiya, v'ruach u'neshama me'yitzira. Sometimes a person can have his nefesh from asiya, and his ruach and his neshama from yitzira. לפעמים nefesh me'yitzira, v'ruach u'neshama bria. Sometimes his nefesh will be from yitzira, and his ruach u'neshama from bria. He's giving all different kinds of combinations over here. לפעמים נפש מבריאה ורוח ונשמה מהאצילות. Sometimes a person can have a nefesh from Bria and his ruach and neshama will be from Atzilut. That means it's seemingly what he's saying. Now you don't have to start from Asiyah. You could start, your nefesh could start from Yetzirah. It could start from Atzilut. It doesn't necessarily have to be from Asiyah. Seemingly that's what he's saying right now. וכן הדרך זה בכל פרט ופרט שבכל עולמות דל עולמות ביאה כנודע. כי כל עולם מאלו הדל עולמות כלול מכל דל עולמות ביאה. Why is he saying that? Because since every world has its own Atzilut B'reit Asiyah. That means Asiyah has its own Atzilut B'reit Asiyah. Yetzirah has its own Atzilut B'reit Asiyah. Bria has its own Atzilut Bria Yetzirah Asiyah. So therefore, you don't have to have from the general worlds Nefesh Ruach Neshama. You could have from the Abiyah of Asiyah, the Abiyah of Yetzirah. Abiyah is short for Atzilut B'reit Asiyah. Right? Did I confuse you guys? The idea is, the point is that you could have, for example, your nefesh will be from Asiyah, and your ruach and your neshama will be from Yetzirah. How do you have a neshama from Yetzirah? The neshama comes from the bria of the Yetzirah. You get it? Not from the big bria. Not from the general bria. Seemingly this is what he's saying, which contradicts everything we learned until now. It says the worlds could actually be broken down into 10 sefirot, and those 10 sefirot could be broken down to another 10 sefirot, 10, until you lose count. So each world is included in it parts of all the other worlds. Correct? And I cannot even write you all the different kind of combinations. צריך שתדע, a person has to learn, כי מה שאמרנו שלפעמים יהיה לו נרן מיצירה ומן הבריאה, אין כוונתנו לומר שאינו נפש מצד העשייה כאן. He said, no. Whatever you just thought that you learned, that's not what it means. You can't have no nefesh from Asiyah. You can't start from Atzilut, nefesh from Atzilut. You have to have a nefesh from Asiyah. So what do I mean when I say that you can have all the parts from Asiyah, or all the parts from Yetzirah? What did I mean by that, says the Ari? הנה נודע שאפילו השכינה הנקראת מלכות היא מקננה בעשייה, מכל שכן הנפש של האדם. אבל כוונתנו לומר כי הנפש של האדם אבל מעשייה תזדקק כל כך עד שאינה ניגשת בערך סביבת אור הנפש שצייה שבו. So let's explain it like this. Let me get a pen. So let's say, for example, he says, so let's make a thing. You have Atzilut, Bria, Yetzirah, and Asiyah, right? You have Atzilut, Bria, Yetzirah, Asiyah. So he just finished telling us, I'm going to give you one example, Gabriel. A person could have his nefesh, ruach, and his neshama all from Yetzirah. What did we learn originally? That the nefesh has to come from Asiyah. The ruach has to come from Yetzirah. Neshama from Bria. Now he just finished telling me I can have all three from Yetzirah. That's a contradiction, right?
Could you have nefesh from...
You could have nefesh from Asiyah, ruach from Yetzirah.
Nefesh from the higher and then...
Yeah, so he also gave us an example. That's what he said. Yeah, no. If you once you have something so from Atzilut, you can't go back down. You can't get lower. You can only get higher, right? So he says, really, this is not the pshat. The pshat is like this. Everybody has a nefesh from Asiyah, ruach from Yetzirah, neshama from Bria. So what do I mean when I say, for example, I can have all three from one? The guy had a nefesh from Asiyah, for example. Then he went up to Yetzirah to get his ruach, right? But his ruach was so strong, he fixed it so strong, that the nefesh from Asiyah, it's like a light in the afternoon sun. You don't feel it anymore. He got into such a high level, his previous parts are cancelled out in him. Since he was mizdachech, he purified himself so much, it's like he doesn't have a nefesh from Asiyah. And he's counted in total in the level of ruach. That's what he did.
He upgraded himself.
He upgraded it so much that his previous parts, lo olim b'shem, they don't even count, they cancel out. Do you understand the daragot a person could receive? That means a person could get a nefesh, ruach, and neshama from bia. Once he gets to Atzilut, if he's zocheh, his nefesh that he was mizdachech so much, to all of his previous parts, just cancel out. And he'll just be considered a person from Atzilut. You get to the levels that a person could reach, and in our generations, it's much easier to reach than all the previous generations. not so much is expected of us, number one. Number two, most of the job is already done.
Resistance. Much more. This world. Much
The
more
only thing that's stronger
resistance.
is the Satan.
Yes, of course.
Of course. Because the Satan is strong because the reward is greater. You get it?
Yeah, everything is easy access, like you said.
Look at this access.
But
But you know, back in the day, to get Sha'ar Hagilgulim with the Bnei Aaron, it was not even in print. They would all learn from the same book on the same table like this. 10, 20 people used to sit around the same table. To find a teacher to teach you this today, a person wants Yitzrot Hayim, L'Shem Torah and Inspiration. Sha'ar Hagilgulim, L'Shem Torah and Inspiration. Now, I'm not the only one that teaches this, by the way.
You're the first, you're the main hit. If you Google Sha'ar Hagilgulim,
I'm the main one. L'Shem Shova Achlama. By the way, the rabbi who translated the Sha'ar Hagilgulim, he also has a whole sidra on Sha'ar Hagilgulim on the thing. So anybody the Torah is so accessible. Daf Yomi, accessible. Gemara, accessible. Mishnah Yomi, everything is accessible today. It's like all you gotta do is just go and take it. Just the resistance. It's not a strong resistance. It's the ta'ava is stronger. Why? Everything in our generation, all the Yetzer Hara is instant. Instant coffee, instant this, instant that, instant everything is instant. You want all the worst ta'avot, you just go click on a button, it's over there. It's even better than the real thing.
Really?
Back generation.
The Gemara says that the ta'ava of the Einaim is much more pleasurable than the ta'ava of the Yesod, because it's on the lower part. The Yesod is on the bottom. How come the person feels the Yesod more? Because it's more it's more funneled. You understand? It's more, everything is inside a small part. In the eyes, though, the ta'ava is stronger because it's limitless.
Right. Well, because it goes to also
Yeah.
imagination
And
brain.
yeah, but the eye is limitless. The eyes could see forever. When does an eye close? When the brain is tired. But the eye could be open forever. Like fish. Right? Fish their eyes are always open. Why do we eat fish on Shabbat? To compare ourselves to Sfirat HaKeter. Fish, their shorish comes from Keter.
Pisces.
Yeah, fine. Okay, so let's finish. The funny thing is, the Pisces, it's when in the Mazalot, it's 2 fish, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Moshe Rabbeinu was born in the Adar, right? And the Torah was given in the Gemini. It's also 2 children, 2 and 2.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So how come in Gemini, and how come the one who gave the Torah was born in the month of the Pisces, and he gave it in the month of the children and the Te'umiyun of the Gemini? Because the Pisces is Keter, because the fish comes from Keter. The children, the man and the woman, is Shema and Shem Ben. That's Za, Zun, right? Za and Malchut. So to give the Torah, it says that Hashem gave the Torah. They perceived Hashem in Har Sinai like an old man teaching Torah. They perceived, not Hashem that Hashem is an old man, God forbid. It's Avodah Zarah. But they perceived as Hashem Zaken ve'Yoshev ve'Yeshiva. That's Bechinat HaKeter. And Hashem was giving the Torah to us. The Al-Sheikh says every word that Hashem said, it turned into an angel. What do you mean they saw the kolot? What did they see?
Angels.
They saw angels. Each angel came to them and says, you accept upon yourself Anochi? He said yes. He said yes, he gave him a crown.
And then they died.
And that was the death, by the way. The Nivu'ah was the death. And then they told Moshe, you speak to us. What do they mean by you speak to us? Don't speak to us alone. We want to hear your voice. Hashem speaking through you. And over there already Hashem said to them, what did Hashem answer back? Don't make with me a god of gold and a god of silver. Why did Hashem add that over there? He was already hinting to them that you guys want an intermediate. And what did they really do 40 days later? They made a god of gold and a god of silver. They made an egel. It was an intermediate. The Or HaChaim said it wasn't Avodah Zarah Bichlal. It just on their level, that they weren't allowed to make an intermediate, but it wasn't Avodah Zarah. The fact that they made the intermediate, once they made that, then everything became mutar. The znud, the eating and the drinking, everything became mutar. Because that's the problem.
I don't want to compare it, Chas Shalom, but in connection to the Christianity, because they also did intermediate.
Yeah, that by the way, the Tosafot says that JC is an intermediate.
Right.
That's how it started.
That's how they wanted to see.
That's how they want to see. So some of them see him as the Messiah. Some of them see him as part of the Trinity. It's all a kasha malasha. Today they don't even know what they believe, right? But the point is that the intermediate, Hashem says it's avodah zarah. You can't do with me an intermediate. You have to speak straight. Ki lo re'item kol temuna. You didn't see a picture. What do you mean you didn't see a picture? You didn't see a body. You didn't see a frame. Right? Okay, just a nice vort on the parsha. I didn't say it. I was supposed to say that before Michal Shabbat. You weren't here, were you?
I know what it is.
No, I did come for Zashidi Sheet. The only one too.
Oh, you came from Minchas.
Why did I make it?
She was very good. We
We spoke a lot of...
went over, but no one complained because it was good.
yeah, we really... Alright, so let's... so it says over here. So you guys got the point, right? So a person could be so mizdachek, so purified that his previous parts, they nullify and they're not even... Lo olim b'shem, right? Vaz nikra kol nefesh de yitzira. And then he's considered everything nefesh de yitzira. That means all of his asiyah becomes like nefesh de yitzira. Because what's higher, the tail of the lion or the head of the fox? So the Gemara says, you rather be the tail of the lion than be the head of the fox. Better be the nefesh of Yitzirah than the keter of Asiyah. You get it?
Yeah.
You get it? Better to be the nefesh of Yitzirah than the keter of Asiyah.
Well, if you're the nefesh,
You understand?
It's
Because-
lower.
Better be a servant to kings than be a king of
but not only that,
beggars.
if you're the nefesh of the asiyah,
Yeah.
then you have the potential to be even greater. Because ruach and chai and yechidah.
You need the nefesh of Asiyah, but he's saying this guy is so purified that all of even his keter of Asiyah turned into nefesh de Yitzirah. That's what he meant with all that chilukim we said before. כי אפילו כשאנו אומרים שיהיה לו נען מן האצילות, הוא ביתם מתלבשים תוך נפש ורוח נשמת עשייה, יציאה או בריאה. אלה שאינם עולים בשם, וכולם מתפלים ונקרים בשם אצילות, וזה תקיש של שאר הפרטים נזכרים. So like he said, a person can go up to such levels that all of the parts of his בריאה, יציאה, and עשייה will just nullify if he זוכה את האצילות. Right? There was a famous rabbi, actually the author of the blue books over there, the Bala Sulam. Baal Sulam, Rav...
Hitas. I read his comments in Hitas all the time on the Zohar.
Right, so he wrote the Zohar for everybody. Everybody should learn it. That was his thing. Like they say in his... I don't know why I just lost his name for a second. Okay, weird. He'll come back. So, Ashlag. There you go. Thank you. Rav Ashlag. So they said about him, he was a chassid. You know that, right? He was a Belzer chassid.
Maybe some connection.
Maybe, I don't know. Actually, I just found out today that he's my nephew's friend.
Oh, yeah?
He was at his wedding. So, he was a Belzer chassid, and the previous Belzer Rebbe, I think, or 2 Rebbes ago, was a very big tzaddik, mekubal.
When he lives? Ashlag.
He passed away, I think, right after the Holocaust time.
Oh, it's now.
Yeah, he's recent.
Oh.
Yeah. So he said to him, he said, he says, you already finished your job in this world. What do you want? Are you okay? Are you fine with what you've reached? What do you want to do? He said, I'm looking for more avodah. I'm looking for more avodah Hashem. I'm not fine with the status quo. You know, some people that are fine with the status quo in life. I do my Gemara, I do my Mishnah, I daven 3 times a day. I'm okay with the status quo. Why look for more avodah? So he told his Rebbe, no, I want more avodah. Yet there were 3 friends. 2 of them said we're fine with what we have, and he said no, I want Rav Yehuda Halevi Ashla, and he said I want more avodah. He said, you want more avodah? Natun lecha. It's for you. You got more avodah.
So what he did?
What do you mean? He revolutionized the learning of the Zohar. He revolutionized it. Today, is there any shul in the world that doesn't have the Bala Sulam's thing? Now, since anytime there's Kedusha, Klipa touches it too. But Klipa is that, I don't want to say, the burger, the center. So with every Kedusha, Kabbalah center.
Yeah.
Oh,
So-
because of...
He was his student.
Oh,
So...
They have an outpost here, no?
Huh?
They have an outpost here?
I have in every city. These guys, every place, something every. They have one in one way in Queens Boulevard.
They
They
have a
have.
channel also, the Kabbalah channel or something.
I don't know what they have.
Mr. Lightman also...
Lightman was his student. Lightman was Berg's student.
Oh.
He totally took it off became a money thing. Became a money maker, right?
The guy's very
People are
sharp.
looking for spirituality. They're looking for ayin bet shemot
Celebrity.
to meditate. You know what I'm saying? They're looking for something. The people, that's the problem. Kabbalah is not some kind of a fashion show, you know. But the people think it's cool. It's the it thing. You know what I mean? That's not the way you're supposed to look at these things. This thing is it's the way it's avodat Hashem. That's what it is. Avodat Hashem. It's the next level of avodat Hashem. If you don't look at it like that, then it's not for you. You got to take it. You got to use it to grow up in the levels. That's why Sha'ar Hagilgulim is probably the most important Sha'ar, because it's teaching you. You learned Etz Chaim, you learned Otzrot Chaim, you learned the Kavanah. Now, what do I do with it? What am I meant to do with it? You're meant to grow up. As you grow, your family grows with you, your neshama grows with you, your midot grow with you. Until after 120, then you're going to have Talmidim, you're going to have this, you're going to grow, your midot are going to get better. Suddenly you're going to see, you could even have Ruach HaKodesh. But if you do it for the Ruach HaKodesh, then you're not going to get it.
Right.
That's the secret. If you're doing it to get a Hasaga,
You won't get
you're not going to get it. Because that's not the point. If you want to get a Hasaga, go smoke something, you're going to get many Hasagot. You want Hasaga. This point of this is not to get a high. That's the point. That's just the side effect. If your neshama really wants, let's finish the Hagdama. ועוד יש חילוק אחר בבחינת גלגול עצמו. There's another type of a גלגול. אם בעניין המתגלגל בבחינת גלגול בכל גוף שיזדמן, או במתגלגל על ידי אחיו, שזה נקרא ייבום. There's a גלגול, a very specific type of גלגול called a ייבום. A yibum, through levirate marriage, when a person's brother dies without kids and he has to marry his sister-in-law, like what happened to Yehuda and Aaron Onan in the Torah, it's called levirate marriage, yibum. It's not practiced today.
How long we don't practice that?
About, I would say 1948. Since the creation of the
Israel
state of Israel.
Really?
Ben Zion Meir Chai Uziel.
Is that changing now with this new government?
I don't think so. So this new government right now, he's doing a very big avla. It's mamash times of Mashiach. This guy, Meir Matan Kahana. It's funny, his name is Matan because the quote in the Torah records one priest of Avodah Zarah in the Torah, and his name was Matan. So this guy Matan Kahana, who used to be a pilot in the Air Force, I think.
And
Thinks he's a cool guy, and he wants to fix the non-Jewish problem in Israel. How?
Make
everyone Jewish. How? Convert them without them having to accept halacha.
Without them wanting to.
Without him, not only they don't have to accept it, they don't even have to want it.
But they don't want to. Why he wants to force it?
That's
If they don't want
the
to.
thing. But why are you forcing something that doesn't make sense?
But what's his agenda?
His
Why he wants
agenda
force
is
it?
to take
break
500,000
Break Judaism.
Eritreans, Russians.
And mix them inside.
But
and
if
make
they
a soup.
make a soup, and that's exactly what Herod did. That's exactly what the Hashmonaim did, and that's where they messed up. It's the same. It's like history repeats itself. And he wants to make these people gerim, and they're not even lining up to be gerim. They don't even want the brit. They're not even going to the mikveh. Like, what are you trying to do over here?
Without a brit, he's going to become a ger?
So I'm assuming, I don't know the fine details, at least he's going to have to get a brit. Yes or no? That's the bare minimum.
You never know.
So you never know with this guy. And this guy's walking around with a kippah, claims that he has the backing of rabbis. It's becoming a very big fight against the dat. In Israel right now, religious Jews are hated as much as...
Ours.
Yeah, probably more. It's a sakana right now in some places to be a religious Jew. They're mamash going after them. You know, if you want to take care of the non-Jewish problem, you could put on their passport Israeli, Russian Israeli. Israeli is a nationalism. It's a nationality. It's not a religion, right? So what do you want to do? What are you trying to fix? First they did it with a kashrut. Now there's so many new kashriots in Israel. It was already a problem. It was already a problem with the rabbanon.
Such a balagan.
You don't know who's right, who's wrong over there. Who do you trust? It's a problem. Then people are upset. How come there's so much extremism in Israel? How come religious Jews over there are such extremists? Of course, look who they're fighting against all day. They're fighting the Jews and they're fighting the Goyim at the same time. Like they don't know, they're stuck in the middle. And it says over there in the Mishnah in Sotah, at the end of the days, Chokhmat Sofrim Tisrach. Yir'echet Yima'esu. Chokhmat Sofrim, the Chokhmah of the Sofrim of the Talmidei Chacham Tisrach. It's going to be disgusting, putrid. The Yir'echet fears, the true fears of God, Yima'esu. They're going to be like Nimas, like enough. So what's Yibum? Yibum is levirate marriage. How come Yibum is a special case of a Gilgul? Usual Gilgulim, a part of the soul that was fixed, stays in the kever for Tichat HaMetim, right? But in the case of Yibum, the first body doesn't get up.
Wow.
Because he died without kids.
Right.
Seemingly.
So he has to come back as a son.
Seemingly. So when he comes back, he could come back. Usually when a person comes back in a Gilgul, we learned, he cannot get all parts of his soul back. If let's say he reached Nefesh, Ruach, and Neshama, when he comes back, he's not going to get all the parts back. Remember we learned that? It's going to split to other people, right? But since when he died, he left no kids, he has a special power to get all the parts of his soul back. His Nefesh, Ruach, and his Neshama. Alright? That's the chiluk between a regular Gilgul and a...
So he comes back...
And a...
Yibum.
He comes back...
Yibum.
He comes back
Yibum.
straight Gilgul.
Yeah, it's almost a complete Gilgul, but there's a caveat. The first body that he had...
It's gone.
It's not gone, because he did Mekayim the mitzvah of marriage.
So
therefore he gets up with Tichat HaMetim with the part of the soul that he left into his wife on the first night of the wedding.
What does that mean?
There's a certain part of an Neshama that you give to your wife on the first night of marriage.
No, 100%. But what I'm saying is like this. So his previous Gilgul is also still going to get up.
Right.
But you're saying he's not getting up.
He's going to get up because he got married.
But he didn't have children. So
right.
He doesn't come up as much as the person who got
so
children.
Let's say
he's a quasi person?
So basically, let's say the guy that's coming in the Yibum right now, he had a nefesh, let's say in his first Gilgul, that he got married and had no kids. He had a nefesh, a ruach, and a neshama. Let's say he reached that high. Now he died without kids. So we're going to learn right now in the next paragraph that all these pieces could come into the next body, which is technically going to be, it's him. Now his father is going to be his brother, and his wife is going to be his mom. So therefore he has no bat zug.
There's no bat zug, right?
Because his wife became his
mother,
his mom. So he has no bat zug. These are the people that the Zohar says that could steal other people's bat zugs.
Or they can get women they have no.
Right, if there is a woman like that.
There for sure will be, no?
Lo nitkenu alilot. Who knows? So now, but the first body, who he was, he does have a zchut of getting up with what? It's called ruach deshadi begave bego itate bego bi'ar rishona. Let's call it, for example, this nefesh has its own nefesh ruach neshama. The nefesh of the nefesh. Now, but he fixed all this. That's all gonna go to the new body.
Okay.
Right?
Right.
And he's gonna get up with the nefesh. For example, nefesh nefesh.
But he comes up with a goof then.
Yeah, with a goof, but the neshama that he's gonna have
is very basic.
Is very small.
He's still getting up though.
He's still getting up. Remember, the Ariya Kadosh says that the main olam haba is only for people that reach their ruach. Let's say a person only reached his nefesh in his life. He only fixed his nefesh. When he dies, let's say he reached a high part of his nefesh, and he gets up in Tichat HaMetim, he won't enjoy the world of Tichat HaMetim so much. He's not gonna enjoy it so much.
And there's no fixation for this.
No, at that point it's over.
At that point it's over.
You can't do it.
Why? The main olam haba is for people who reach the ruach and beyond.
But he said himself, because most of the people are in a nefesh.
Yeah. Then they have to reach their ruach.
Yeah, they try Mashiach come, it's over. What?
No, lo yidach mimenu nidach. I want to ask you a question. What's the point of living life? There's no tava for a woman. There's no tava for a nice piece of steak. There's no more tava for, let's say a person has a tava for watching movies, sports. There's no more tava for that anymore. Where does those ta'avos come from?
For visiting Milan, for going to the women, like a lot of women today, where all their plans, they have to go to London, they have to go to India. Ta'ava's gonna be gone.
Yeah, there's no ta'ava. Well, your only ta'ava is gonna be to learn Torah. That ta'ava to learn Torah comes from a ruach. You get it? So therefore, if a person never reached his ruach or even tried to reach his ruach, he never gained that ta'ava to learn Torah. It's like he's going to be in Olam Haba.
We never know if we reached it or not.
Try.
Yeah, I said we never would know if we got to that.
Why not? Maybe you will know. Maybe you'll know.
That's
Yours. Let's finish the paragraph. I just revealed you guys a big secret, by the way. So therefore, when you're davening to Hashem, you should daven to Hashem. She'ezkeh lekabel et ruchi. Even if you just get the ruach of your nefesh, it's enough. Even that's enough. Not that you should want that. You should want to reach your ruach haklali, right? But you should daven to Hashem to. It's like davening to Hashem to get the I want the te'ima of the Torah. I want to feel the deliciousness of the Torah. It's like the same thing, right? So how do you know if you're reaching your ruach? If you're learning more Torah. That's exactly. Don't you guys get the 2 and 2?
Yes.
It's pashut. You don't need the Ari HaKadosh to tell you that. It's pashut. Alright, so יבום. כשבא בבחינת גלגול לכך, אינם מתגלים ביחד שלושתם נראה לא שניהם יחד. אלא הנפש לבדה עד שתתקן אחר כך בגלגול אחר, הנפש הרוח לבדם עד שתתקן הרוח, אחר כך גלגול לחי נראה עד שתתקן נשמה. So he said, if a person, not in the case of Yibum, regular Gilgul, he dies, he comes back to life, he cannot get all parts of his soul in one Gilgul, we said. Correct? He has to die and come back, die and come back. ואז נשלמו גלגולה. או לפעמים, כל אחד משלושתם יגל לבדו בפני עצמו. אבל כשמתגלגל על ידי אחיו בסוד ייבום, when you come back in a Levirate marriage, through a Levirate marriage, זה ייבום, יכולים להתגלגל שם יחד שלושתם הנרן. Then in this specific case, the person has the capability in one reincarnation without dying to bring back all his nefesh, ruach, and neshama. Right? You got the difference? Regular Gilgul, you gotta die. A person has to die to get his ruach, die to get his neshama. Die. You cannot get it all in one sitting. But a yibum, he could. Right?
How many times people come back in a Gilgul?
It depends.
No
a person,
limit,
listen, it could be almost no limit.
No limit.
But the truth is, most people don't come back more than 4 or 5 times.
Right, that's what
Because Hashem makes sure you're gonna reach your
You come back with nitzotzot and
Hashem is not gonna give you something you cannot do. Hashem will be mitgalgel one way or another that you're gonna reach your yud.
How many people come back and mess up again?
But we're gonna learn, or we already learned that for averot you don't come back in a gilul.
Right, when you fix, you already fix.
Only for mitzvot you come back. When you have a mission to do, for messing up you don't come back. That we have gehenom. I don't think anybody here is going to kavakel.
Really?
Kavakel is only for big rishayim, bo'alei nidot vegoyot, vezonot, bo'alei shfachot, rishayim. You're not going to call kavakel for pagama machshava.
So you think that everyone's only going to pagama machshava?
Huh? What other avera could you have? Chilul Shabbat b'shogeg?
You was giving the thing, what was it, a long time ago, with some big tzaddik, he had a relationship with his wife during the day.
That was in the time of the Tanaim. That was a big neshama. That he probably knew the Isur, and he was with his wife with a night light on. That's something else, right? And don't forget, it doesn't mean that story that the guy was in a Gilgul until then. It could also mean that that guy was being checked to go in a higher place in Gan Eden. So they wanted to level him up higher, and they saw that Avera in him, so they brought him back for that. In that time. You understand what I'm saying? At the end of the day, everybody gets a tikkun. Everybody. Even the biggest Rishayim.
After I heard what kind of lineage Lavan had, I said, God had so much mercy on the people. I said, I can't believe it.
The Shorashim.
It goes to the Kim. The guy became. I'm like, this is crazy. How much hesed the Hashem have to have for the soul? For what kind of soul?
Yeah. And at the same time, sometimes you see big tzaddikim turning Chas Shalom as their lineage into big Rishayim. Like Shalom HaMelech, for example. Who came out of him? Nebuchadnezzar was his own great grandson.
Oh, yeah?
Nebuchadnezzar was his kid, was his...
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. Shalom HaMelech had 1,000 wives. When Malkat Shra, the Sheba.
Egyptian.
Sheba.
What
Is
you
this
The African queen.
Nebuchadnezzar is from her?
Yeah.
What?
And the Chachamim said that you exceeded your limit. 1,000
Way too much.
is the cutoff point. And he was upset at the
Because
Chachamim.
you wanted more.
He wanted Malkat Shva, and he was with her, and she got pregnant. And from that descendant came out eventually Nebuchadnezzar. And then Shalom HaMelech came back as Jeremiah the prophet. He himself prophesied of the destruction of his own house that he built. Shalom HaMelech, it's a big shorish.
If he came back as Yirmiyah,
Yeah.
do you look like Shalom Melech and they say regularly?
It's a big machloket, really. I remember learning that a person does look like his previous
Yeah.
Gilgul. But I heard from a different rabbi who learns a lot Zohar. He says from the Zohar, Hashem changes the diyokan of the face. He changes it. That's why the malachim are not going to be mikatregan.
Wow.
So, remains to be seen. Amar Koteb, let's finish the last sentence. חיים מן נסב בשבטים משמע אפילו בסוד הייבום אינה במיוחד אלא הנפש הרוח לאדם ולא לשעה צריך עיון. Chaim Vital says it might be that a person cannot reach all the Neran in one Gilgul, even if it's a Yibum, just the Nefesh and the Ruach, but Tzarich Iyun, and we continue. Hagdama Gimel, remember we're in the third Hagdama.
That's the next one.
Yes, we're in the next one, chapter 3. Introduction 3 for next week. B'ezrat Hashem, Baruch Adonai Ha'olam. Amen.